Welcome to Ingredient Insiders. I'm John Magazino.
And I'm Andrea Parkins.
Thanks for watching this clip of our interview with Danielle Sepsy from the Hungry Gnome.
For the full episode, find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Links in the description below. So Andrea claims that you are the queen of scones.
That's what they call me.
But the scones are not Italian. I mean, how'd you get into scones? And what is the perfect scone?
It is so bizarre, right? Yeah.
Because I'm Italian.
Do you like scones?
I'm going to make a confession, and I've been to Ireland and the UK, and I've had them. I've never loved a scone.
Why?
I feel like there's an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes, there is. Yes,
like
I
here.
love scones.
Like
Why
I
don't
find
you like
them dry, crumbly, and I think when they're done right, that is how they're supposed to be.
Right.
I just find like it's a big mouthful of something a little more dry than I want to have.
She's judging
I don't know. Well, yeah, no, now I feel bad. I'm here in front of the queen.
I hear this all the time.
So I have questions for you. I have scone questions.
Okay.
One, how does an Italian
Learn how to
woman
make a scone?
become the scone queen? Two, what is the perfect scone?
Good question.
Yeah. How did I become the Scone Queen? Well, growing up on Long Island, my family and I went out east to the Hamptons all the time in the summer to go to the beach. And on our way, there was a farmer's market. And I had my first scone at the farmer's market. And they were coming fresh out of the oven, big chocolate chunk scones. And I'm such a chocoholic, so anything with chocolate I love. But I had never had a scone before. I tried it and I said, oh my goodness, this is so perfect. The crisp edge, the buttery inside, the melty chocolate. And they put it in a white, paper bag, and I would just eat it on the beach in the sand. And I had so many fond memories eating those. And we would always rush to the Hamptons early in the morning, leave at like 6 o'clock in the morning to get the scones.
Wow.
Because they would sell out. And then that farmer's market closed or changed hands, and they no longer had them.
The scones were never the same.
Yes.
So you wanted to make the scone.
So I wanted to make the scones.
that.
So then I started exploring and looking at old cookbooks and starting to learn how to make a scone, and then experimenting with my own recipes. And then when I was 13, I created my scone recipe, which is still the same scone recipe today.
Fantastic.
And that's when I got my first real taste of entrepreneurship too, because I made the scones. I will never forget the day when I presented my parents with a cutting board of about 10 different varieties. I said, okay, blueberry, white chocolate, this is a cherry, this is chocolate chip, a banana nut. I made all different flavors and made them try. And their faces lit up and they said, these are the best scones that we've ever had.
Wow.
You should definitely sell these. And so at 13 years old, when everybody else spent their summers going to summer camp or
lemonade stands,
whatever,
you were out there hawking scones.
I was slinging scones. Exactly. Slinging scones all summer. So I'd wake up first off, the first time I decided I wanted to sell them, I put scones in a basket, went to local businesses, bagel shops, farm stands, different things in my town, brought samples. I made a business card on Microsoft Paint, by hand. I actually had a different business name at that time, which I eventually changed because someone else took it in California. But I don't know if I could say.
Was Grandma Rosemary around at this time?
She was.
Did she know what a scone was?
Because
I feel like scones I'm older than you guys, but like I don't feel like I saw a scone until like the mid 2000s. I don't know where I was.
You're probably right.
Yeah,
you're probably right.
They weren't, it wasn't like
in every Starbucks.
We kind of all grew up in the New York area. You'd walk into a deli or a bodega or wherever,
in the
coffee
last
shop.
20 years.
The blueberry muffin was there, the corn muffin was there, and there were certainly French
cakes
or Danishes or even a croissant. But not really so much the scones until later on.
I think you're very right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I wonder what made the scone come here. I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. I should probably look that up.
Now I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't think my grandma did know what a scone was. I think I really introduced it to a lot of people in my family.
Sure.
Yeah.
They were like, it's a seeded cookie, the Italian staples.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever had it. So I started making scones, and then it kind of became a big part of my identity, even as a kid. And my high school yearbook, there's dozens of comments in the yearbook that say, you're the next Martha Stewart.
Wow.
You're this, that.
Most
all having
likely
to
be the Scone Queen of America.
Most likely, exactly. And so it just stuck with me. But I had a customer, it wasn't actually till maybe when I lived in the city and I worked in hotels, and I gave scones to a regular customer in the hotel that I had worked in. I gave him the scones and he said, "You are the Scone Queen." And then it sort of stuck.
That's great.
And then I mentioned it on the big brunch with Dan Levy, and they loved that. And so they kept calling me the Scone Queen. And then it just stuck. And now my book comes out in March.
So exciting.
Yes, thanks. And it's called The Scone Queen Bakes, naturally.
I
So
love it.
yeah.
Wait, and we're going to eventually talk about butter today.
We are going to talk about
Yes.
butter.
And I'm sure it's an ingredient in scones.
But I do have a question before we get there.
Well, so do I. Okay.
All right.
You go first. I think we have the same question.
I want to talk about Big Brunch
No,
because
that's
I
not my
feel like
question.
that really kind of
It did.
catapulted your career.
It did.
What came first, the Hungry Gnome Bakery or
Yes.
Okay. So the bakery opens.
So how did you hear about
Yep.
Big Brunch?
So at the time, the bakery was much smaller, and I was working out of a shared commercial kitchen, working with a lot of other companies, competing for equipment every day. I had a smaller team. I forget how many people I had at that time, maybe 10, maybe 8 or 10. And Dan Levy posted on Instagram that he had a new show that he wrote. He was looking for 10 chefs across the country, and he listed what he was looking for. And about 20 people I know sent me the post and said, "This is you, Danielle. You really need to apply for this." So that day, I actually saw the name of the casting company on that post. And I said, I'll send in an application, but sometimes you just have to, just talk to the source directly and put your name in the hat and just like get your name on top of the pile. So I emailed, or I think I DM'd on Instagram, the casting company and just said, I'm applying for the show. Told them a little bit about myself, and they said, we'd love to call you tomorrow. I wish it was that simple, but it was about 4 months of a very grueling casting.
Wow.
Yeah.
4 months.
Yes.
Is Dan Levy as awesome in real life as he appears?
Yeah, he really is.
That's great.
Super just down to earth and kind and compassionate. And I feel like he chose people that were all so different, but really just kind-hearted, genuinely good people. And we all just clicked instantly on set, and we all laughed because we were so different. And we remember we couldn't talk when we first saw each other. They like put us in vans. You go to set and they said, put headphones on and just like don't look or talk to each other, basically. And I was like, I'm always with a full face of makeup. The Long Island girl in me, I have the full face of makeup. The hair is done. She's glam. Everybody else was a little more chefy, like no makeup, a hat, like t-shirt, whatever. And they have their knife set. I didn't even have my knife set. I'm like just looking like I'm just there for, I don't know, not for character and not necessarily for talent when it comes to cooking. And so they always joke that they were judging me in the beginning. And then once they saw what I could do after, especially maybe the second episode, they were like, oh, okay, she means this. And then we all got so close. And we're sitting in green rooms for sometimes 12 hours a day. And they'll call you on, you'll film for maybe an hour, go back, and film for 30 minutes, go back. And so we were in a room probably not much bigger than this, and sitting in a circle like a support group, just talking. And we couldn't talk about the show, so we would just talk about our lives. And we got really, really close. And they were all such just talented and kind people who deserve the world, truly.
That's great. Did you meet his dad, the great Eugene Levy?
He was on set a couple times, and it was COVID times when we were filming. So people that were not on camera were wearing masks, but you can't miss him because the eyebrows.
Sure.
Right.
So
Cannot miss.
he would be kind of by the director's chairs and watching every so often, and I think eating some of the food that would come off set. And I believe Sarah Levy, who is Dan's sister, who's also on Schitt's Creek with him.
Yep.
Twyla. She was pregnant at the time, and I heard she would eat my baked goods when she was on set. But we never got to talk to them, but they were there. We saw them.
So
I think
cool.
what I loved about the show, and I watch a ton of cooking shows.
Yep.
The cast was so supportive of each other, like throughout the entire, and that I don't really feel like you get that on a lot of like Top Chef or other cooking shows where it was like
those are competitions, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And this was a competition, but like it felt like everyone was still like supporting and like rooting each other on. Like if someone had a bad cook, like everybody was there with a hug and like kind words. And I just remember my wife and I being like, this just feels good.
Was
like
that
watching
part of
the
their
show.
like strategy? Did they tell you to be nice to everybody, or
they really didn't?
No, it just happened.
It just happened.
Yeah, that's nice.
And especially, I think, I don't remember in the last episode, it was down to me, Daniel, and Jay. And Daniel, who won, he was having a difficult moment. Things weren't working out, and there wasn't much time left, and he was really stressed. And I could hear him sort of grunting and getting upset behind me. And we're all on the same time clock, right? And I had a lot to do too. But I turned to him and I said, you know what? I have a couple minutes. Yeah. Can I help you? And I remember like Dan Levy started to, the judges almost started to cry a little bit because it felt like if one fails, we all fail. And after the first episode, I think you sort of forgot about the competition and just were in a competition with yourself, really. I just wanted to do the best that I could do, and also do it the right way and just support each other. And so we always did support each other.
Yeah, it definitely came off that way.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Ingredient Insiders.
You can find the products we discussed on today's episode at chefswarehouse.com or your favorite specialty retailer.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram @Ingredient Insiders and Chef's Warehouse @Where Chefs Shop.